So my name is Constance Swaniker. I'm a founder and a CEO of two companies. One is a blacksmithing metal fabrication company called Accents Art. That's 23 years old. And then most recently, I've also moved into education. And that was founded in 2016. It's a school that is looking at churning out the next generation of qualified artisans who are able to work in high quality industries that are looking for really top-notch artisanal work. So my parents, my mother was an educator, and my dad was in the judiciary, so he was a magistrate. As a result, we moved around quite a bit across Africa. We lived in about 3 or 4 African countries. And because my mom was an educator, she was very big on making the grades. I grew up with 3 other siblings who are math and science, very smart. And I struggled with math, struggled with the sciences. And I think it was my mother who discovered that when I was about age 12 that I was struggling with math, getting D's and E's, really struggling. And I think that's very typical for most artists. I mean, we're creatives, right? So it was my mother who saw a piece of still life. I think I put some stuff together and I drew it. And she saw it and I think it finally dawned on her that, she's probably different. And at that point in time, that's when she started buying crayons and pastels and all sorts of things, for me to just draw and let out whatever I was feeling. As a result of that, I was very withdrawn from the rest of my siblings because I realized very early on I was very different. But she encouraged me to pursue my love for the arts and the creatives. And so in school, I did cooking. I took cooking classes, art classes, agriculture. I love geography because, you could draw rivers and volcanoes and whatever, and I'll get good grades for that. And I just sailed through high school. But, as an African child, the creative industry is not really encouraged. Most parents wanted you to become a lawyer or a doctor, something that was a bit more, acceptable, if I may use that word. And so she had 3 other siblings that were straight A's, maths and science. And I was just like, oh, if she's different, maybe we don't, nobody really took any paid any attention. And so I learned how to be my own biggest cheerleader very early on. I learned how to internalize and almost be my own champion. To the point when I entered university, it's like, oh, okay, what are you going to study? If it's an art degree, just go and do art because it seemed like the natural progression. But what career choices, I had after that, nobody really discussed that with me. And that's how I ended up setting up my own company, Accents Art, because nobody was hiring creatives. There was no creative economy. There was no creative sector. Most African parents are not going to be paying for you to go to a top private school to go and do art. It just was not discussed. It's not acceptable. So I would say that most of my classmates who did an art degree didn't use the art degree. It was just a degree. But I knew that I was talented and I knew I wanted to pursue the creative industry. So I set up a small company just doing metal work, just doing a few pieces for friends and family. And that really led to the establishment of the company. I was just doing stuff for fun. We started off with 3 artisans, and currently we have about 50 artisans that work on the factory floor. So I ended up doing a lot of work with architects and interior designers and contractors who wanted really nice metal work. So we ended up doing interesting banisters, gates, burglar bars, furniture, all sorts of things. And now we're known to do anything. So once you have an idea, a blueprint, we're able to build. And so we've grown over the years to do really interesting projects. I've done work all over. Our clients are usually the top 10% who have the disposable income to pay for really fine work. And so I'm very selective who I do work for. And that also gave me the opportunity to really be a full-time artist, because I wasn't a struggling artist. I had this company that, could afford to pay the bills. And so I only did my art when I was inspired. I do exhibitions every couple of years, or I'll do commissioned work. But my bread and butter, or my, the way I live, doesn't really come from selling my art. Because that company has grown tremendously. We're the market leaders in what we do back home. And as a result of my upbringing, I really wanted to give back to young people like myself who were not encouraged to be artists because society didn't accept, it didn't encourage creativity. And so that led to the establishment of the Design and Technology Institute, to really give back to young people like myself who are different and are gifted and talented. And I'll say that the timing that I also established the school, was when technology. And so young people really could see what their career prospects were, what you could do in the creative economy. The creative economy right now in Africa is probably one of the fastest growing, and is predicted to be to be $1 billion industry. And so in terms of our music, fashion, and the arts really growing. I created a butterfly at a time in my life when I was feeling a bit restless. I was beginning to get bored with what I was doing, and I was looking for the next thing to do. I've always pushed boundaries. And it was just around the time that I was thinking of starting a school. And so I pretty much took off about a year to just do a lot of work. It took me to Paris. I did an exhibition in Ghana. I did an exhibition in Nigeria. And I loved that period of my life. Just to be me and to create and to celebrate the stage that I was. In the last couple of years, I've had to go back to being the business Constance again, because this was a new child that I was birthing, the school. And so just being here talking about my art again is inspiring for me, because then I know that I can go back to the creative side again. And so this is a reminder that don't forget that you're an artist at the end of the day, and to tap into your emotions. And today, even just talking to you has given me that reminder that there's still the other side, so I'm sure this would really be the next urge, that don't forget your first love, which is the arts. Yeah.